I'm a fan of the Allman Brothers Band, and my favorite song is Midnight Rider. I was listening to it on YouTube, and the music network Vevo had a visual that had a video of a cowboy on a horse at dusk. It didn't look that hard to make as an image, so I thought I would give it a shot in this video. It's an art form that's called flat design. Here I have the document window open, and my document is set to 1950 by 1080. The document unit should be in pixels with the DPI at 72. The margins, which when it opens for me always has this include margins checked, so make sure that you uncheck include margins. So that's how we're going to be set up, and then we'll just go create. Okay, the first thing that I need to do is to use the pen tool to draw the ground. So I'm going to select the pen tool and then basically start outside and first I need to make sure that I have everything selected. The pen mode needs to be selected, rubber band mode needs to be selected, and snapping needs to be off. So we'll start over here, put our first dot down, and pull over here and do the next one. Pull over here, do the next one, and keep going so that we have kind of a slopey kind of a ground. And go all the way out here and click down. Now you're going to need to close this off. If you don't close it off, what Affinity is going to try to do is to fill in the color. It's going to guess where you want to fill in the color. So you have to tell it. So we've got to close this off. So we'll pull this down, click there, pull it all the way over and click there, and then close it off right here so it really knows where you want to fill in your color. Then we'll escape out of that and select the Move tool just to make sure that we're out of the Pen tool. The color that I want to fill this with is number 58321E. The reason that I know that is because I've done this several times before, and that's the color that I've decided on. I mean, you can use any color you want, it really doesn't matter, but I don't want to go around hunting for it again, so I will use this color and click on it and then close. So that gives us a dark brown color. You need to make sure that your stroke is set to no stroke, or else it's going to look funny because you're going to have like black lines on there. Okay, so now we've got the first thing done. The next thing we need is to draw an ellipse. So by holding down my Shift key and selecting the ellipse tool, I'll draw an ellipse like that. Maybe make that a little bigger. I'll probably resize it a couple of times by the time I'm done. And the color that we're going to have on this ellipse is, and it's right here on the number, so if I know what number it is, and the way I figured this out was I was clicking around on the color wheel, and when I found the color I want, all I did was I went down here and I saw what the color number was and I wrote it down, so that way I could have it be more or less the same every time. So for the ellipse tool, we're going to do E49164, and then we'll press enter. And that's the color that we have for our sun. Now what we need is we need a background scene. So we're going to go up and find the rectangle tool and draw a rectangle over all of this. And the color for this is going to be, and we'll click on the color grid right there. The color for this is going to be AF382A, EF382 and A. So that's what we have. And enter. And that's going to be our color. I think I want that to be a little bit darker, so I think I'm going to do that. I remember it being a little bit darker, but I guess I can change it if I hate it later on. So I'm going to take this rectangle and move it all the way down to the bottom, because that's going to be our background sky. So now we've got our ground, our background sky, and our sun, and I think I'm going to select the Move tool and move this, oops, not there. I need to select the ellipse and move this up like that. Okay, now we need some mountains. So I'm going to select the pen tool again and draw some mountains. So I'm going to start out here and just go and draw some mountains, just like that. And then remember, you have to close it off, or else you're going to get some funny fills. Alrighty, so now we can escape out of that. Really, once you close it off, you kind of are escaped out of it. And then go back to the Move tool. Then we're going to need to fill that in and make sure it's selected. So right here where it says curved on the top, that's our mountains. And the color that I used for that was 99581. No, it wasn't. Oh, I put a 0 in there. Okay, let's try this one more time. 99581. There's the problem. There we go. That's what it's supposed to look like. Now we need to make sure that our ellipse is behind our mountains, but the mountains need to be down below the ground. Okay, so we have our ground, we have our mountains, and we're going to need to put the ellipse to where it is. Not that far. Oh, that's why. Okay. So we need to have the ground to where we can see it. We lost our ground. There we go. Okay. So you should have everything stacked to where you can see the ground, the mountains, and the sun, and then the skies in the back. I'm going to select this ground and move it down a little bit. Select the sun, move it up a little bit, make it a little bit bigger maybe, and move our mountains up a little bit. Okay, so now we have our scene. The next thing I need to bring in is a cactus. I have a couple of cactus images out here, so I'm going to go File and Place and grab this cactus image right here, open it up. Okay, where did you go? File, Place, Cactus, open, and draw our cactus down. This cactus needs to be sitting below the ground, so we need to move our cactus down here to make sure it's doing that. Now, I don't want a green cactus here, so what I'm going to do is I need to add an effect on there. Up here, you see something that's called Quick FX. So I'm going to click on Quick FX and go down to where this says Color Overlay and click on that, and our cactus will turn black because basically the default color right here is black. And that's why you're going to see the black there. This, I've never used the Quick FX on the videos before. Sometimes when you first buy this program, the Quick FX isn't in here. So what you're going to have to do in that case is to go up to Window and look where it says Quick FX. See how mine is checked? And then click it so that the box is checked, and it will appear as a tab up here. Now, the way I usually do it, or the way I've done it in previous videos, I went down to the bottom and then clicked FX. and then you can find the same thing here. There's color overlay right there. So you can do it from here. The negative about using Quick FX is sometimes you can't find everything that you want. So it kind of depends on what you're doing, whether you can do that or not. Now I need another cactus, so I'm going to go out here and go File and Place, and get this cactus and open it and stick this over here. And I'm going to make it kind of small so that it takes kind of a look of being in the distance. So I want a really little cactus right there, and I'm going to do the same thing. I'm going to go up to Quick FX. Remember to have that selected or it's not going to work on the right one. Color overlay, and there you go on that one. Now another thing I want is I would like to have, I think I'm going to make this a little bigger. I want a copy of this cactus because I want a smaller version over on the other side with this little nugget. So I am going to go with that selected. I'm going to go Control J, and that will give me another copy of that cactus right there. So I can just move that copy over and then reduce it to where it's little like the other one. For a cactus over here and over here. So we have a pair of little cactuses over there, little cacti over there. I want to make sure. Okay. So now we have that. With our cactus in place, I need my rider. And so I was lucky enough to find my Midnight Rider in black, but it's got a black bottom on it. So I'm going to have to get rid of that black bottom. So this time I'm going to go to File and Open into another tab so I can work on it. So I'll go to File and Open, and there's my cowboy silhouette, and I'll click on that and I'll open it, and it opens in another tab. But I don't want all this down here. I want to get rid of that. So in order to do that, I need to go into one of the Affinity designer personas, and I need to go into the pixel persona. We've never done this before in my previous videos, so we might as well see it right now. By going into the pixel persona, that will let me get my lasso tool and just lasso this off like that. This can be kind of tricky down here. Fortunately, since this is a silhouette, it doesn't really need to be perfect, so we'll lasso that whole thing off and tie it off and then delete it. And so we can get rid of that, escape to get out of there, and then we can just do our little cleanup down here. Get rid of that, delete, escape, get rid of this, and delete, escape. So now we've got it cleaned up in reasonable proportions. So we just need to right click and copy and then go over to our other tab and paste. And there's our rider, and our rider is going to have to be pretty much in front of everything. And then we'll reduce him so he doesn't look like a giant rider. Now when I was coming back in here, I noticed, see, I've got this black thing on here. That means that my mountains have a black stroke, which we don't want. So we need to take that off. So that's what I mean by like clean up at the end so that, you know, your image is going to be the way you want it to be. So I'm going to take my rider and reduce him, and he's riding off into the sunset. Now I think I was going to stop here, but there's two other things I want to bring in. I think I want a bird out here. So I'm going to go out, and I found this eagle that I used in a previous video. So I'll go out and File and Place, and I have this eagle. So I'll open, and I'll stick him up here in this empty part of the sky. And then I'm going to do to that eagle what I did to the the cactus. I'm going to go down, and I'm going to go to Quick FX, and then do Color Overlay, and that will make our eagle look like he's supposed to look in this particular art type. Okay, so we have our rider. Move him down a little bit. We have our rider. And our cactus, and then rearrange them like you want. And then over here we have our sun. The last thing I want to do that I hadn't planned on doing is I want to put a gradient on these, just to like spice them up a little bit. So my background, I think I'm going to add a gradient to it to make it a little bit more interesting. I'm going to put a gradient here. So I'm just going to pull this down a little bit. I have it set on linear, and that's what I'm going to do. And just make it a little, not a lot, but I just want it to where it's kind of dark in the background and lighter up here. I think I'm going to go up here and maybe lighten up the color a little bit, like that. I don't think this is what my original one looks like. Since I'm going to post the original one that I did, you'll see the difference when you go out to my Buy Me a Coffee site and take a look at my original one. Okay, so I have that, and I think I'm going to leave that like that. And then what I want to do is I want to do the sun. So I want the gradient set on linear, and I don't want it like that. I want it to go this way. So we are going to turn it around and have it to where, oh, I don't want it like that either. We're going to flip it around. I'm sure there's a way to automatically flip it, but since I'm already here, I want it to where it's darker on the bottom than it is on the top. And then let's move this around to see, kind of like that. Then let's click out of that. The thing about gradients is once you click out of them, if you don't like it, you have to do it over. So you need to make sure that you fiddle with it and you get what you want to do. But I'm going to just click out of that. And so that's going to be my final thing. Okay, so there we are, our flat design piece of art. Do a Google search for flat design art, but if you put flat design art in a Google search, you will find a plethora of flat art designs that you can practice on if you like this particular type of art. And it's really not that hard. I mean, it gives you some practice. It gives you practice using the pen tool, inserting images into Affinity Photo 2. And also I showed you this new Quick FX effects thing where you can have this in your tab if you use it a lot. I think you'll find that you will use it a lot, so it might be beneficial for you to go up to Window and have that checked and put that down in your tabs. And remember, you can get rid of any of these tabs if you want to. All you have to do is click on the tab, go up to Window, and then uncheck it if you find that your workspace is getting a little bit crowded. So I'll post the design that I did originally, the one I did before I was doing this live, to my Buy Me a Coffee page. So click on the link in the description and help support my channel. And while you're at it, remember to like, subscribe, and click that notification bell to help my channel grow.